Hello and welcome, or welcome back. My name is Shannon, and today we're going to do my May TBR video. I want to apologize in advance for the lighting situation. It's after work. I can't really get the lighting better here in this room, and it is getting dark outside. I realized that I haven't filmed anything in a couple of weeks, and I actually started stressing myself out that I hadn't put up any content in a week or so. And then I just had to remind myself the reason why I started this channel. And one of the promises I made to myself in my booktube newbie video was that I would put out content when I could with the time that I had. So I do apologize for not putting anything up for a couple of weeks, but I'm back. And today we're going to talk about the books that I'm hoping to read in the month of May. I should also mention that I'm completely unprepared to film this video. Normally I like having notes and be more prepared, but I'm literally filming this off the cuff after work. I just walked in the door like 5 minutes ago, and I knew if I sat down, I would never get up to film this video. So I literally have come upstairs, grabbed the books, and so I don't have anything prepared. So I apologize in advance for that. First up, and really the only required reading for the month of May, is my May pick for the Massachusetts Center for the Book Challenge, and that is Why She Wrote, a graphic history of the lives, inspiration, and influence behind the pens of classic women writers by Lauren Burke and Hannah Chapman, illustrated by Kaylee Bales. So this is a graphic novel, which was the prompt for the May selection of the reading challenge with the Massachusetts Center for the Book. And as you can see, these beautiful illustrations, and it talks about a whole bunch of female authors, such as Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley, Anne Radcliffe, Marianne Evans, the Bronte sisters, Frances Hodgson Burnett. So this is really the only quote unquote required reading that I will be doing for the month of May. Next up is Nobody is Ever Missing by Catherine Lacey. And this is about a young woman who literally just, without telling anyone, hops on a plane from New York to New Zealand and then just kind of disappears from the lives of the people that she knows. She obviously hasn't truly disappeared or isn't missing. And this, I believe, is what happens to her when she gets to New Zealand. And from what I can tell from the back here is that she is going through some sort of residual trauma of something that happened to her sister when they were younger. So she's swept into the lives of strangers, sleeping in fields, forests, public parks. And this is just about her adventures in New Zealand and how she is coming to terms, or at least I would think that she's coming to terms with whatever happened to her sister. I don't know much about it other than that. I've only gotten through the first couple of chapters, and as you can see, I've already tabbed some things. The language is absolutely beautiful, and there's a whole bunch of things that I want to go back to. Her descriptions of things are amazing. So Nobody is Ever Missing. Another one that I've actually already started is Prairie Fires, The American Dreams of Laura Ingalls Wilder by Caroline Fraser. And this won a Pulitzer Prize a couple of years ago. And this is a biography on Laura Ingalls Wilder, and I'm actually super excited to read this because I just finished rereading the Little House books, and I wanted to get a little bit more background on the sort of the true story. The Little House books really were auto fiction, and I really wanted to know exactly what happened. And I've started the first chapter in the prologue, and already Caroline Fraser has touched upon something that I've always suspected, and that's regarding her father. And she obviously loved her parents very, very much, and you can see that in the Little House novels. Her parents really were very important to her, her mother, and especially her father. She loved her father very much. But there were certain things that happened throughout the books that I was sort of like, I don't know, that probably was glossed over in the book, but I think in real life it was more nuanced than that. So one of the things that Laura described in the books that I had wanted to learn a little bit more about was, at one point in time, the family moved, and I can't remember which state it is. I want to say maybe Kansas, that was strictly Native American Indian territory. And for whatever reason, a lot of people, a lot of white people, were running to that area and basically squatting on the land and essentially not letting the Native Americans be on their land, despite the fact that the United States government had specifically said that this was Native American land. And what they were hoping was, as squatters, they were just hoping that the American government would just come in and be like, well, you're here now, we'll just get rid of these Native Americans. And in the Little House books, there is one of the books, I can't remember which one. When I do a full wrap up of this book and the Little House books, I will go into more detail on that. In one of the Little House books, Pa says that, hey, I've heard that the government is giving away free land in this territory, and so we're going to go there. And so they move to this area and they build a cabin and they live there. And then Pa says, oh, whoops, this is actually Indian land. And so we have to leave. The government is going to make us leave. And so they do. And then they, go along and move somewhere else. And I whenever I reread that recently, I said, that doesn't seem right, that they would mistakenly think that the government was just giving away this Indian territory land. Don't get me wrong, they absolutely did do things like that, but this specific land was strictly Native American territory. And to just show up there, build a cabin, and then be like, oh, whoops, we made a mistake, we're going to have to leave now, seemed really weird to me. Turns out, Pa, Charles Ingalls, knew very, very well that the land was Indian land, and the government wasn't giving it away. The white men were literally just moving there and squatting there. And so he deliberately took his family there to be a squatter. That was absolutely deliberate. In the story, Laura frames it as like a big whoopsie, but that is not the case at all. And this was confirmed literally in like the first chapter. I was so, I shouldn't say surprised, but I was kind of thrilled. I was like, oh, this is what I suspected. So I am so excited to get through this book and do a wrap up of it later. Lastly, as I mentioned in my last video where I ranked my Jane Austen novels, I am working on a course about the Jane Austen novels. And so for the month of May, I will be rereading 3 of them. And that would be first, Sense and Sensibility, second, Northanger Abbey, third, Pride and Prejudice. I won't go too much into that. I did talk about the novels in my last video, but once the course is over, I will talk in depth about all of the Jane Austen novels. So these 6 books are what I'm hoping to finish throughout the month of May. Now, anything else I add will just be based on my mood and situation. In a couple days, I am hopping on a plane to head to the West Coast for a personal visit and then for a conference. So I am going to have a lot of plane time to do some reading. And I generally don't bring physical books with me when I travel, but I do have a lot of books saved on my iPad. So there are a lot of selections that I could choose from on the plane, and it'll just depend on my mood that day. So here are a couple of choices. So if you know any of these books, let me know what you think and maybe I can prioritize them. One is Olivia Twist by Lori Langdon, Beasts of a Little Land by Juhea Kim, The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn, The Moon, the Stars, and Madame Barova by Ruth Hogan, The Lake House by Kate Morton, A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, and 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Those are some options for fiction that I could use. Oh, I also just realized I could also finish The Henna Artist by Alka Joshi. A few videos ago, I talked about how I had started a bunch of books but then never finished them, and The Henna Artist is one of them. I haven't quite marked that as a DNF, but maybe I will pick it up on the plane to finish it. I do have some nonfiction as well, although I probably would stick to the fiction. But some of the nonfiction that I'm actually interested in that I have saved on my iPad is The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold, Hunting the Falcon, Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, and the Marriage That Shook Europe by John Guy and Julia Fox, Silver Sword and Stone, Three Crucibles in Latin American History by Marie Arana, Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom by David W. Blight. So those are some nonfiction options that I could also read on my plane ride. So we'll see. I'm not going to choose anything today, and we'll see how I feel when I get on the plane. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining. And again, I apologize for the off-the-cuff unpreparedness of this video and the lighting situation here. Thank you for your understanding, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.